Welcome to the Spiritual AI podcast, where we explore the incredible power of our inner intelligence, which I call spiritual AI. Just like a computer uses AI to process data and find solutions, our awareness and intuition can guide us through life with clarity, ease, and purpose. Each week, we'll dive into the transformative tools, spiritual insights, and practical strategies to help you awaken, amplify, and align with your inner power. I'm your host, your friend, your guide, and your fellow student, Leonie. Come and join the awareness and intuition revolution. Hello, amazing human. On today's podcast, I want to dive into purpose, life purpose. What is your purpose? And that's the question that so many people hold, and they struggle to find their purpose. And then there's other people who are very lucky that kind of they know, just from the first time that they can remember, they have had this clear purpose. But for a lot of us, we have to kind of find this out along the way. We've got to discover what this purpose is. And the reason I'm doing this podcast today is because I heard something the other day from it was a post on Instagram, and I tried to find out who this gentleman was, but I couldn't find who he was. And I don't know if it was just he sounds South African, potentially Cape Town, and from what he said, potentially a preacher. So I don't know who he is, but I wanted to share this with you before I dive into the podcast. And what he said was, and I'm going to read this, he said, it's a dangerous thing when you discover your purpose. Because when you discover your purpose, you are going to become an irritation to people. You are going to upset a lot of people. When you discover your purpose, you're going to declare your independence, because you're not going to allow others to dictate to you and tell you what to do. When you find your purpose, food becomes a stumbling block. Sleep becomes a hindrance. And then he goes on to say, purpose prolongs your life. Those words were so profound for me, and those words were just, it resonated so deeply with me, and the way that he said it just rung true for me on my journey. And I wanted to hop in and do this episode because there are so many people out there who still struggle to find, who's struggling to find their purpose, and they're wondering. And I'm going to share some of my own experiences, and I'm going to share some tools and techniques, and there's an exercise that you can do. But I want to dive into a little bit about purpose and how you can potentially find yours. Now, one thing to understand about your life and purpose is that, or to keep in mind actually, is that if you, for instance, have like the healer energy and you're meant to be a healer, being a healer can look very different to different people. You can be a healer by becoming a doctor, a GP, a specialist, a surgeon. You can become a healer by becoming a naturopath. You can become a healer by becoming a school teacher and simply listening to people and supporting them on their journey as they grow. You can become a healer even if you're a police officer. And I'm giving those examples because you will see how it fits in with my life story. And you can also become a healer through becoming a life coach. There's various ways in which the healer energy can come out. So keep an open mind when you do the exercise that I'm going to share with you a little bit later on in the podcast. So my own journey with life purpose is, from a very young age, I knew that I wanted to help people. And in one of the places that it became very obvious was when we went on holiday. As kids, we used to, go camping quite a bit. And there was one holiday that we went to. I must have been about 8. And my dad and I went to the trampoline there was an enclosed area with a trampoline, and there was another young girl on the trampoline. She must have been pretty much the same age as me, with her dad. And when I wanted to run closer and jump on the trampoline and talk to her, he said to me that she can't hear me, she's deaf. And that kind of sparked something within me, and I was like, I need to learn sign language, and so that I can communicate with deaf people, because they need that, right? They need somebody to be able to understand them and listen to them and speak up for them. So that kind of sparked the healer journey within me. And so there's another instance where I would, just after school, I wanted to, or actually in school, I wanted to study psychology. It was one of the things that I love people. I'm fascinated by people, their energy, their mind. And so I wanted to study psychology, but my grades weren't good enough. So then the next step that I took was to become a teacher, or I wanted to, and still my grades weren't good enough. And then I ended up in a retail job after school. So, but in this retail job, what I would do in lunchtime is I would go and sit. And I would sit like on the edge of a fountain in this like mall area, and I would watch people. I would watch them pass by. I would look at their faces. I would recognize and see that, there was stuff happening for them. And I would just sit and watch people. So you can see how throughout my life there was this draw to people, to, my experiences, even my life experiences as a young child shaped me and formed me in a way that made me, my awareness heightened. And I, growing up, my part of my life, my dad was an alcoholic. And then, obviously the trauma and the experiences that come from that. And awareness is one of those where you become aware of your surroundings because you need to be safe. So awareness became one of the tools that I use today, actually, in my work. So if spiritual AI, it's awareness and intuition, and I help people with that today. So you can see how my experiences as a young child shaped and gave me the tools and experiences that would then lead to where I am today. Now, I didn't study psychology. I didn't become a teacher. From the retail side of things, I wanted to study reflexology and aromatherapy, which at one point I was kind of talked out of. But then when I moved to Australia, the first thing I studied was reflexology, and that then led on to Reiki and sound healing, and then working one-on-one with my clients, and then eventually where I am now, working as a transformational coach, spiritual teacher and healer, working in the field and expertise in awareness and intuition and helping my clients, right? Now, so you can have a look at my life and you can go, okay, you can see. So if we look at the timeline of my life, we can see the experiences that I've had, the path that I've taken, the things that I've studied, all have the same theme running through it. Now, you are going to have the same theme, not the same as mine, but you're going to have a theme that runs through your life. You'll often hear people say that your life experiences often becomes the thing that you teach or help people with. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to become a coach or a healer or, a sound healer or Reiki practitioner. But what it does is, it gives you a clue as to where your strengths lie. And then also that will give you an idea of, the industry that you could potentially step into and work in, that will resonate with your soul. It will light you up. So as an example, working in retail stores didn't light me up, although I really liked the creative side of it because I was in the merchandising side. That lit me up because it's creative. But some of my other jobs, were receptionists and working in the oil and gas industry. Those did not light me up, okay? But what does light me up is working with people and supporting them in their healing journey and self-development, and their spiritual journey. So that is what I do now. Now, there are so many other different tools that you can use that can help you figure out who you are and how you can, kind of proceed with this. So one of the things is, for instance, what's it called? Human design, right? Now, from my human design, I know that I'm a manifester, and for those of you who don't know, and this has got nothing to do with manifesting. It is just a kind of a label that this person who created human design gave this group of people. Now, what manifestors are is they are the type of people who they visionary, they can see things, they design, they manifest, so they create things, but they're often not the people who see projects through. So I think if you look into all of the other tests and what are they, processes that people can go through to find out what your strengths are, you'll find that some people are good at starting projects, but they don't see them through. Now, that's essentially what a manifestor is. Now, I'm a manifestor, and I know that it has had a big impact in the way that I run my business. Manifestors are quite often also, from my experience and what I've seen, people who are entrepreneurs, and unemployable. I think I think as myself, I think of myself as unemployable. I don't say that very often, but if I have to speak about it, I will in this way. Like, I have to be creating, I have to be out there, I have to be helping people. This is just me, right? So there's human design that you can look at, which would give you perspective on who you are, what are your strengths, and how to use them. So coming back to the theme running through your life. Now, there's an exercise that you can do, and I do this with my clients and some of the courses that I've run. And what I would suggest you do and how you do this is literally sit and create a timeline of your life and try and do it as detailed as possible. Try and remember, your childhood, where you were, what you've done, experiences that you've had. And this is going to do two things for you. On the one hand, it is going to give you or reveal to you your theme that's running through your life, which will then support your life purpose. Okay. The other thing that it's going to do is it's also going to reveal to you the traumas and the experiences that you've had in your life that potentially still need some healing. So you can use this exercise in two ways. But for this purpose, for today's purpose, it's going to be the theme, right? So you want to go through your entire life, write down everything that will come into your that will give you little insights into perhaps what the theme is that runs through your life. Now, for me, it was quite obvious from a young age. The life that I chose with my parents has set me up for awareness. It set me up for spiritual and psychic experiences. It set me up in a way that I had to become aware of how I didn't fit into this world. I was pretty much the black sheep of the family. I had to deal with being the outsider at school. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. So, all of my experiences kind of put me in a position where I was always reading people. I was always looking for safety. I was always looking for myself and other people. So I learned to read people from a very young age, and this thing carried through. Okay, so I hope this is kind of making sense for you guys. Something else that you can do to look at to find out what you are interested in is potentially look at the books that you've read. I heard somebody say once that if you want to find out what your passion is, look at your bookshelf. Now, if you look at my bookshelf, it is all about spiritual development, psychic development. It is about the body, the mind connection. I have a lot of books on body language, on face reading, on statement analysis. So everything around my bookshelf, if I'm looking at it, it's all about the human psyche, the human, self-development, spiritual development, what the body says, how to read the body. It's all about diving deep into who we are and how I can support and read people and support them. Okay. So if you had to put me next to another healer, for instance, my experiences are very different from theirs. So the way that I work with people is going to be very different from the way that they actually work with people, right? So I see potential. I can recognize patterns very easily. I can see the things that some other people can't see. I can see, I tap into an awareness, and there's just this knowing and understanding of what is happening for my clients. And the only way that I can do this is because of the life that I've had, the experiences that I've had, the traumas that I experienced. And those are building blocks. They're not stumbling blocks, they're building blocks to who I am today and the foundations that I have and how I can support other people. Now, so the bookshelf, and then there was something else that I wanted to mention around purpose. Oh, it was, how the question of, but how do I know if it's my purpose? How do I know this is the right thing? So if you were meant to be a firefighter, you will have the desire to be a firefighter, right? If you were meant to be a doctor, you will have the desire to be a doctor. Now, if you are, feel like you want to become, let's say, you think you should become a police officer, and you feel drawn to that, but you are not sure. The way that you know is that the being drawn to, that's one of the things. But the fact that you have no desire to be a doctor, or you don't have a desire to be a firefighter, tells you that you are potentially meant to be a police officer or something in that line. Because it's not in your field. You're not drawn to it. You don't want to do it. If you don't want to become an entrepreneur and run your own business, then it is not in your soul journey. It is not your journey. It is not your purpose to become that. Okay? If you are drawn to helping people, then you have to find the way in which you can help people. Now, because there are literally 1,000,001 ways that you can help people. You need to go and figure out what lights you up. Does becoming a police officer and helping people in that way, does that light you up? Now, just as a side note, I wanted to become a police officer way back, because it was also one of those ways that I could help and serve the community. Okay. Things happened and I wasn't able to finish my application with the police force. And then in the time that it took me to reapply, that's when the universe kind of redirected me into the space that I am now. So can you see how even though that I am a coach, spiritual teacher, healer, I once wanted to become a police officer because I had that desire to help people. So you could become a police officer, but you could help people by becoming an aged care worker, right? So then you're helping people. But does that light you up? That's the question, okay? You can help people by what else? You can help people by carrying their shopping. You can help people by becoming a teacher. You can help people by becoming a doctor. You can help people simply by listening to them. You have to find something that lights you up. And here's an example of somebody, one of my clients, who does something that lights her up, and she used her desire to help people within an industry that was like not related to helping people. She is an accountant. She works with numbers. She loves doing that, and the way that she helps people is she is a really good listener. So she finds that people are drawn to her, and she then becomes the healer in that moment when she's listening to somebody. So can you see how you could be doing something so left of center, so out of the ordinary? Like you can become a skydiving instructor, for instance, or a skydiver, and people jump with you, and in that moment you talk them through their fears and help them overcome something. You can actually be the healer in that moment, but you're jumping out of airplanes. So can you see how it can be a little bit confusing? And this is probably one of the reasons why people struggle to find their purpose. You have to just look at your life. Look at what life has given you, okay? Now, it might be traumatic, and you might have experienced, such dark things when you were growing up. All of those have given you the tools to help and support other people. Now, if you say that, I experienced really dark experiences, and I had a really traumatic experience as a kid, I don't want to be doing that, then find something that just lights you up, something that makes you happy, because the point of life essentially is to just be happy. And the thing that's going to make me happy is not the thing that's going to make you happy. You have to find your happy place. You have to find that thing within you that says, I want to do this. You could become a healer by working with animals. Now, I keep talking about healers because obviously that was my life experience. So I'm using it as an example, but look at your life. If you don't want to be surrounded by people, then perhaps, become a mechanic. Because you can still serve. You might be passionate about cars. And that will then remove you from large groups of people and having to deal with people on a daily basis. And you can literally just work on cars and you can be happy, and that's your thing. All right? So have a look at your life. When you do that exercise for finding the theme running through your life, it will become clear. 100% will become clear. So, and then if you struggle with even diving deeper, or there's other things, or, you're going to find a lot of limiting beliefs come up with this. But this is part of the process. This is what self-development is. This is what spiritual development is. This is what growth is looking at your life, discovering your stumbling blocks, discovering your traumas, discovering the things that were not so nice, and turning them into a life that is happy. And that's your purpose, is for you to become happy. So whatever you choose, make sure that it lights you up. And if you're in a job at the moment where you feel that, it's a drag and you don't want to go and you don't know how you're going to get out of it, and you perhaps caught in a money trap because you can't get away from this job, but you need the money, then there's mindset work that needs to be done, right? Because you need to shift your mindset so that you can receive the job that you want. So you want to kind of manifest and create the job that you want. But first start with this process of finding the theme that runs through your life, and then pinpoint the theme, the thing that kind of makes you who you are, the core of you, and then take that and then start manifesting the life that you want. Let me know in the comments, shoot me a DM. Let me know how you guys go with this, what you found, if this process has been helpful, if what I've shared with you has been helpful. I'd love to know. And if I can help in any way, then, I will 100%, because this is what I do. I love helping people kind of figure out who they are, what their journey is, and then helping them get to that next level, helping them get to that place where they are happy and they feel fulfilled and they feel like they've got a purpose in life. I'm going to leave the episode here. Thank you for joining me. If this is kind of resonated with you, please share it with the world. And you know what? So many people listen to the podcast, but they don't take a moment to like or subscribe or rate the podcast. And you know what? That's a little bit of love that you can give back to me. So please take a moment, rate the show, share it with people so that we can get the message out there and we can help other people. I've got a big mission. I've got a big message to share with the world. And I'm currently busy writing the Spiritual AI book. I'm writing my book, and I cannot wait to get it out there because I know it is going to help a lot of people step into awareness, guided by their intuition, so that they can find their purpose, so that they can find the healing, so that they can live a happy, beautiful life. Until next time, guys, take care. Thank you for joining me on the Spiritual AI podcast. Don't forget to rate and share the show with your friends. It will only take a few seconds. So go ahead, go and rate the show, share it with a friend, spread the message of the power that we hold within each one of us, our awareness and our intuition. Let's create a revolution. Let's change the world. I'll see you next time.